Hi, it's Mitch from SportsChatPlace.com, and it's Friday, April 26, 2019, here with your free live show. Of course, we're here live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our best bets always over at SportsChatExperts.com, where it's best bets from myself and some of the other top handicappers in the world today. Of course, they're also available over at PicksandParlays.net. We also have our top plays at SportsChatPlace.com, Premium and Premium Plus. Working on a really cool offer this morning. It'll be up probably later this afternoon, so I'll be able to talk about it in the Dog of the Day tonight and in some of the videos later tonight. It's just with our friends over at PointsBet, where if you make a deposit, if you open an account, just open an account. You don't even need to make a deposit using our link, and that's the key thing. You got to use our link so we'll be able to track it. You'll get a free 3-day consensus report, whether you deposit money, never do anything with the account at all, just for opening the account. And then if you do deposit money, if you live in like New Jersey or one of the neighboring states, then you're eligible for a free month of Premium Plus. So pretty good deal. Plus you get $1,000 in free bets from PointsBet. But we will get to that. Probably more tomorrow. Of course, we had the NFL draft last night, and your Giants took Daniel Jones. That was funny, right? I mean, it's like all we can do is laugh because we know that against the good teams that he was terrible, right? I mean, he played against NFL-type teams and NFL-type players, and he pretty much stunk against them. So to me, that's always an issue. When you have a quarterback that doesn't get it done against or players in general that don't get it done against the top level competition. So that's, to me, a problem. I think some of the other picks, I think going with all this Clemson defensive lineman, you can't go wrong there. And I thought that, some of the other picks, there were some reaches in there. I think that, the Raiders going with Jacobs, the running back, he's good. I don't know if he's great. Once again, when he played against the tougher teams and when his team wasn't clearly dominant, was he as good as he was against the lousy teams? Not even close, right? Yeah, we're going to do the Kentucky Derby. I'll be in Vegas. I'm going to Vegas just specifically to watch the Kentucky Derby. I'm going with Craig. Sam as well. He's back at the beach these days, swimming again and doing all kinds of stuff. I got him some new toys yesterday. I had ordered them from Amazon. He loves those moon balls, those Wamba moon balls. So I got him like a whole box full of them, and he got one of them, and he just would not give it a rest yesterday. It's sitting on the carpet. Poor guy. I threw it probably 600 times. Sam's one of those dogs you throw it. Yeah. I just think that Haskins saying that the NFL teams made a mistake with him. I don't think so. I don't think that he has the experience, and I think that if he would have stayed in college another year, then maybe he would have had an argument. But he's more of a Ben Roethlisberger type, and a type that sits in the pocket. He's kind of a bigger guy and can withstand the hit. But Roethlisberger, you have to remember, stayed in college all 4 years at Miami of Ohio, and I believe that what we see, especially from these skill the skill positions, generally. Like a quarterback, more reps do it. Bill Parcells, who was, one of the great NFL coaches, he never would pick a quarterback unless you were a 4-year starter in college. Did you know that? That's why the Giants, they look back and they said, oh, these are the Giants' first-round picks. It's like, not only would he not take you in the first round, he wouldn't take you at all unless you were a 4-year starter in college. And so it's really limited now these days where the players leave early. Then it's even more of a problem. But a guy like Haskins, who doesn't have the mobility, Kyler Murray's way too small to play in the NFL. I'm going to say it. I mean, I'm a small guy, and so it's nothing against short people or anything like that. But Kyler Murray is with that offensive line, good luck. You see him running around creating plays with his receivers having time for separation and to get down the field. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen because he is not going to have time. He is not going to have that kind of time. But anyways, let's get some free picks. We'll come back to the NFL draft, and there's a lot of good players out there. I'm from Miami. I really have been disgusted with the team for about the last 30-something years. But I was really happy that they didn't take Haskins, and I was really, really happy they didn't end up with like Daniel Jones or make a trade for Josh Rosen, which is still not out of the question yet, right? It's that's still on the table that they could trade for Josh Rosen. But I think Drew Lock is the guy that I want. If the Dolphins are going to take a quarterback, I think Drew Lock is the one guy that I would want. There's some other guys. Will Grier. I think you want a gunslinger. You want a leader. I think Haskins is in trouble. He's those big quarterbacks. Look at Ben Roethlisberger and the hits that he takes in the pocket. This guy, Ben Roethlisberger, is also the heaviest quarterback in the NFL. And he takes some hits back there. That's why when he's injured, he's really injured. Anyways, let's get a pick. Let's do some picks, and we'll come back and we'll talk NFL draft in just a second. But let's go to the Phillies and the Marlins. Yesterday I picked the over. It was certainly not over, so we will go back to the well. One more time, we'll go with the over in the Phillies-Marlins game. Let's go over 8.5 Phils-Marlins. We got Urain on the mound and Eichhoff, and coming off of a low-scoring game. I always like it coming off the low-scoring game for a higher-scoring game, and I think that's what we're going to see here. But let's get to another pick. I like the Angels. They've been playing pretty well. 10-16 against the Royals. 8-17. I know the Angels are on the road. 2-8 in their last 10. So I guess really not. I didn't not give out the Marlins as a premium pick. I think they have a shot here. But I think they have a shot. Like I said, it's going to be a high-scoring game. But we haven't seen consistency out of the Marlins, so it's tough to think that they're going to string anything together, especially on the road. I like the Rangers here at plus 147 with Shelby Miller. Believe me, I don't love Shelby Miller, that's for sure. But this Kikuchi from the Mariners, this guy overrated, right? You know the overrated chant? This guy is the overrated, man. This guy gets rocked. He gets crushed. This could be, Daisuke Matsuzaka all over again. Shelby Miller, no one's been a piñata like this guy over recent years, but the Rangers are winning his starts. And that's really all that matters. Like certain guys, they give up a ton of runs. Shelby Miller's given up 12 runs in his last 3 starts, 4 in each of them, and not even going that deep into games. But one thing we know when it comes to a slugfest, the Rangers are slugging. So, we can go with the Rangers and the over in this game, which is 9 and over 9. I know a lot of people like to parlay. That's a nice little parlay for you. Rangers and over 9. Go another one. We got the Indians up against the Astros. These two teams have been playing a little bit better recently. Mike Reynolds saying Kikuchi's only going to pitch the first inning. Then they're bringing in a big prospect. I guess I haven't read my research on that game. Let's take a look. Who's the big prospect? Official website of the Seattle Mariners. Justice Sheffield. They're just going to give him a short outing. There you go. The Mariners' number one prospect. Let's see what kind of stuff he's got. Oh and 1 with a 3.93 in AAA. I don't love him. I'm going to go with the Rangers in the over here. That's what I'm going to go with. I think the second time through the rotation, if he lasts that long, he's going to be in big trouble. Yeah, NBA is against the spread. I gave out an against the spread pick in the premium picks. You can look at Sports Chat Experts and see what the premium picks are. Not going to go through this with you on every pick, that's for sure. We'll do one more baseball pick. I'll talk some NFL draft and we'll wrap it up. Take boy, a lot of big numbers out there, making it extremely difficult. I'll take the Pirates here against. You know what? I'll take the Yankees. Yankees at minus 135 against the Giants. Bumgarner has pitched pretty well, and Paxton has pitched really well as well. The total in this thing is 6.5. Oh, I still like the Rangers and the over in that game. But I like the Yankees here, minus 135 with Paxton. And he's just been pitching lights out ever since I said, that he's batting practice. But anyways, recap the NFL draft real quick again. You just take a look at, go through the first round. So, boy, is there anywhere that just has a list, right? Let's see. Here we go. So the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, like I said, he's listed at 5'10", 5'10 and a half, 207. He's a lot smaller than that. Trust me. He is. He's way smaller than that. Maybe standing on his toes on a box. He's that tall. Nick Bosa, this guy's hurt all the time, so expect him to be hurt plenty when he plays. He's got a high motor. He's got a high end, but it's like he comes from a family of injured players, and he's injured all the time himself. Not a good thing. Quinnen Williams from Alabama. I think this guy is the problem that we see with Alabama players in the NFL in general is they hit the top end. They hit the top end while they're in college. And it's like they rarely seem to improve a lot when they get to the NFL. In order to be really successful in the NFL, you need to improve. There's a few guys that have done it from Alabama that we see it. But, Alabama players over the last few years have been drafted a lot in the first round, so they've had a lot more flops than home runs. And you just have to watch out with that. Quinnen Williams, he's going to be playing on a pretty good defensive line there in New York, so pretty good. Farrell from Clemson. I know that a lot of people didn't like this pick. I think you cannot go wrong with one of those Clemson defensive linemen. Absolutely cannot go wrong. Devin White from LSU is a tackling machine for the Bucs. He was a need pick. I don't know what they said about it on TV, but I'll tell you right now. He's a need pick, and he's also an upgrade over the guy that left. He's better. Daniel Jones from the Giants. Is a horrible pick there. Josh Allen from Kentucky to the Jaguars. Generally don't like guys that come from not very good teams, but Allen is good. I think he's a little overrated, but I think that he will, in that Jaguar defense, be super effective. Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa, we've talked a lot about him. I think it was a little high for him, and I think the Giants are kind of like the Lions are trying to be like the Patriots, but they're kind of like a D- version of the Patriots, right? They're not like. I think Hawkinson's a little overrated. I know he's a high motor guy also, But I think at number 8 pick for a tight end is ridiculous. It never pans out. You look at the tight ends that have been drafted in the top 10, never any good. Never. Ed Oliver's a beast in for the Bills. This guy's a game changer. He's always in the backfield. I love a good nose tackle. I think it's a key. Devin Bush was the best player on Michigan last year, and Michigan was an overrated team, but Devin Bush is not an overrated player. The Steelers traded into that spot, and he was a need guy also. They never really replaced Shazier. Jonah Williams from Alabama, the tackle, he was a starter for quite a while there for the Tide. He got whooped in the championship game in that Clemson game. I know that they'll say that he wasn't whooped in that game and that he held his ground. Let's just say the whole line got whooped. Rashawn Gary from Michigan, horrible pick by the Packers, big-time reach. Not sure what they were thinking there. This is a guy, one of those huge potential, right? We always talk about the guys with the huge potential. That's Rashawn Gary. Huge potential, lousy football player. Christian Wilkins, Dolphins, maybe the pick of the litter from that Clemson defensive line that we love so much, and I'm really happy. The Dolphins went with a pick that is, I think, this is a team that's in desperate need of a quarterback, but they went with the safest pick on the board. Christian Wilkins was number 1 on their draft board, and they were considering trading up to get him. Chris Lindstrom from Boston College. Matt Ryan got crushed last year. He got just beaten up to a pulp. So I think we have not seen the last of Falcons' offensive line picks. Of course, the Redskins took Haskins, and we've talked about him already. Brian Burns from Florida State. I don't know. Florida State defenders outside of Deion Sanders and a handful of others have never really done well, especially these, there's been Derek Brooks was a great Florida State linebacker, but outside of him, you just don't see a ton of them in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence from Clemson, way better pick than the Daniel Jones pick for the Giants. I think he's got the high upside as well, and just the one mark for the performance-enhancing drugs, whatever it was. Garrett Bradbury from NC State, once again, very safe pick for the Vikings who needed some help on the offensive line. Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, Mississippi State. He held his ground in a very, very tough conference. And I think that's, what you have to look at is that he played against a high level of competition. He played very well. Font for the Broncos, a reach at 20. Once again, I think the Iowa tight ends are good, but, taking them this high in the draft when you have other big needs, very, very difficult to justify. Savage from Maryland is a guy that a lot of people liked. I don't know. It's kind of like, I like him, but I don't like him that much. Dillard from Washington State. This is a guy that, that a lot of people liked. And, for good reason, that Washington State offensive line was really good. And Mike Leach always recruits big guys on the offensive line, no matter where he's at. And Dillard's no different. Titus Howard from Alabama State. This is a guy who is an athlete. And I think the reason why the Texans went for him is they generally like these guys on their offensive line who are athletes. And he'll be able to probably play more than one position on the offensive line. So he's a left tackle, but he could probably play right tackle, no problem at all. And they could probably even insert him at guard if they needed to. Josh Jacobs from Alabama, we talked about him. He was the first and only running back taken in the first round. And he's kind of that. He's kind of that guy that he's tough as nails, but he ran behind a massive offensive line in overmatched games with defenses that were worn out that he got a chance to run over late in games. So he's not going to get those chances in Oakland. I expect that he's a good athlete, so he's going to be good, but he's going to need some help. Marquise Brown from Oklahoma is small, but that is the way of the world these days in the NFL. We see the impact of guys like Tyreek Hill, and everybody wants one, right? So Marquise Brown is that. Once again, same thing. He's the same player as Hill for the Chiefs. Montez Sweat from Mississippi State. This guy's a beast. You see all these 3 Mississippi State guys going, pretty close to each other in the NFL draft. The Raiders went with Abram. Once again, there are other guys I just like better. Jerry Tillery at Notre Dame, this guy stinks. I don't understand this pick. The Chargers, I don't know. They've made some questionable picks throughout the years. this one goes on that list. I'm not saying that because I don't like Notre Dame or anything like that. I'm saying that this guy, it's like, he's the type of guy that it's like, he's like how Bryce Harper was last year in baseball, right? He hits the spectacular home run, but most of the time, he strikes out. He's like a non-existent thing. LJ Collier from TCU fits in with Seattle just beautifully. We know Patterson, aggressive on defense, and Collier fits that bill. TCU defensive ends in the NFL are beasts. When you look around, DeAndre Baker, the corner out of Georgia, this guy's a speed guy, right? We've seen him. He covers like those Alabama wide receivers. I kind of like that pick for the Giants over any cornerback pick that I've seen them take in the last 20 years. And I know they were a little critical of that pick. Khalid McGarry, the offensive tackle, Washington, once again, size, there. And the Falcons going size offensive line because Matt Ryan, he got just beat to a pulp last year. There were people that picked the Falcons to win the Super Bowl last year, and it was the offensive line why they didn't get there. It certainly wasn't those wide receivers, Ridley and Jones. And they got Matt Ryan it's because Matt Ryan was on his back the whole season. And the Patriots going for a wide receiver. We talked about how the Patriots had no one. Brady has no one to throw to now with Gronk gone. They tried to get the Cleveland guy, Josh. His name escapes me at this second because he's a non-entity, and I know he signed a tender offer, but they're never going to let him back in the NFL. He's exhausted his chances. But Harry, really, really good player at Arizona State, and remember, he's one of those guys that sat out his bowl game. So he's really good, and you know what, we've seen Arizona State wide receivers do well in the NFL as well. So a solid pick. And the Patriots last year, in a similar spot, they took the running back from Georgia. Oh man, the guy who scored the touchdown in the Super Bowl, and they were effective with that. So I think you have to give Tom Brady some help. I mean, he can do it with the Kevin Hogans of the world, who's not even on the team anymore either. And he can make Julian Edelman a kind of like a utility player, a potential Hall of Famer. But you got to give him something, and the more that you give him, the better they're going to be. And Harry is a step in that direction. So there's my recap of the first round. I see a lot of guys left in the second. Our rounds are the second through the end, or even the third through the end, or the guys that that we know, and the guys that build Super Bowl winners. Anyways, took the over 8.5 in the Phillies-Marlins game. The Rangers plus 147, over 9. The Yankees minus 135. This is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.